Okay, let's dive into this. When we picture the classic American cowboy, our minds usually go straight to the Hollywood myth, right? You know, the shiny spurs, heroic shootouts, romantic campfires. But in this explainer, we're gonna crack open the gritty reality of what these men actually ate to survive. We're stripping away the fiction to look at the ingenious, sometimes brutal, and honestly deeply scientific ways trail cooks kept these legendary crews alive. To truly wrap your head around this, just imagine the sheer logistics of a cattle drive. We're talking about feeding 250,000 men over the decades, pushing massive, unpredictable herds across 1,500 miles of brutal, unforgiving terrain, all the way from South Texas to the railheads in Kansas. And remember, you've got absolutely no refrigeration, zero. There's no grocery store for resupply. All you have is fire, dust, and sheer ingenuity. So what did they actually eat? Well, there was a saying out on the drive: a bad cook could break an outfit faster than a stampede. I absolutely love this quote because it hits the nail right on the head. For guys who are pushing longhorns through literal storms and droughts, food wasn't just fuel. It was quite literally a matter of life, death, and daily morale. The guy holding the frying pan, he held the entire operation together. Section 1, the chuckwagon revolution. And this brilliantly illustrates how it all started. Because before you could cook the food, you needed a kitchen, right? Everything changed in 1866 thanks to a Texas rancher named Charles Goodnight. He literally bolted a wooden pantry box to the back of a surplus army wagon. It cost him about $75 to fully outfit. Compare that to a modern food truck today, which runs north of 50 grand. Goodnight's invention was an engineering marvel. It had a hinged tailgate that dropped down to form a work table, a water barrel strapped to the side, and a rawhide sling underneath called a possum belly, just to carry firewood and dried buffalo chips. It carried enough food for 15 cowboys for 2 solid months. And honestly, the design was so perfect, it went completely unchanged for 40 years. Section 2, survival fuel and staples. Okay, so these were the daily, gritty, baseline meals that kept cowboys upright during punishing 16-hour days in the saddle. First up, hardtack. This was pure survival fuel, dense crackers that could actually chip a tooth unless you soaked them in hot bacon grease first. Then we have the absolute backbone of the drive, cowboy beans. They ate them for breakfast, supper, and even cold from the pot at midnight. Notice the beef jerky? This was definitely not the tender gas station snack we grabbed today. It was so dry and salty, you literally had to chew a single strip for 20 minutes just to soften it up. And my personal favorite, the belly cheater. When time was short, the cook just made a thick gravy from bacon grease, starch, and water. It literally just cheated a starving stomach into feeling full. Not exactly romantic, but incredibly effective. Section 3, the master of the camp. The trail cook was without a doubt the unsung hero of the whole operation. Up at 3 a.m., acting as chef, barber, and doctor. Actually, if you want to know how important he really was, just look at the economics. The cowboys out there working the cattle, they were making $25 a month. The cook, $45 a month. He was the highest paid man in the camp, and that ensured absolute respect from every single hand. If a cowboy disrespected the cook, well, he simply didn't eat. A massive part of why he earned that top dollar was his ingenious zero-waste methods. He'd make red-eye gravy by pouring black coffee directly into hot pork grease. He crafted the legendary and originally unprintably named son of a gun stew using literally everything from a slaughtered calf, including the marrow nut. And roasted marrow bones? Today you'll pay $15 for those at a fancy Manhattan steakhouse. Back then, the cook just cracked him open with an axe because they were trail leftovers. And most importantly, when the men were suffering from bone-deep fatigue and bleeding gums from a lack of vitamins, the cook foraged wild greens to wilt in sow-belly fat. It was literal medicine disguised as supper, saving men from scurvy. Section 4, borrowed wisdom and trail science. Now, what's really interesting about this is the iconic cowboy menu wasn't actually invented by American cowboys. It was largely borrowed and accidentally scientific. Take this number for example, 3,500. That is the number of calories packed into a single pound of pemmican. This was a brilliant preservation method. Dried meat pounded into powder mixed with rendered fat and berries. The cowboys borrowed it directly from native peoples who had perfected it over centuries. It was carried in saddlebags for dire emergencies, like when the wagon was hours behind. The borrowing goes even deeper, too. The famous chuckwagon chili, that came straight from the vaqueros, the highly skilled horsemen from Mexico who had been running cattle across this land for 300 years before American cowboys even arrived. And just a heads up, authentic trail chili had absolutely no tomatoes and no beans, just beef, dried peppers, and spices. The vaqueros also provided pan de campo, which is the smoky, chewy flatbread cooked directly in the campfire bowls. But here is where the science gets wild. Nixtamalization.
Trail cooks used to make something called ash cake by wrapping cornmeal dough in wet leaves and burying it in hot campfire ashes. This wasn't just a way to cook, it was ancient nutritional chemistry. You see, the alkaline environment of the wood ash broke down the hull of the corn, releasing vital B vitamins like niacin. Without this process, eating an all-cornmeal diet leads to a devastating disease called pellagra. So by using wood ash as an active ingredient, native peoples and the cowboys who learned from them were using literal life-saving science. And speaking of science, let's talk about the Maillard reaction. When the cook finally had access to fresh beef on the trail, he didn't use a grill or a pan. Nope, he threw the steak directly flat onto the glowing red mesquite coals. The extreme heat caused an intense Maillard reaction, searing the outside to a black crust in seconds while locking all the juices inside. It's a searing technique that produces incredibly complex flavors. Honestly, the kind modern chefs now charge $50 a plate to replicate.
Section 5, Morale Boosters and Sweet Rewards. Survival wasn't just about calories. A smart cook knew how to engineer morale out of absolutely nothing when his crew was physically and mentally exhausted. And the heart of that morale lived right inside the sourdough starter. This was a living, wild yeast culture kept in a clay crock. It was so precious that on freezing nights, cooks were known to sleep with the crock pressed against their own body heat, just to keep the yeast alive. I mean, if you lost the starter, you lost the heavy, steaming sourdough biscuits that made the miserable, dusty trail life bearable. And check out this incredible trail trick, the vinegar pie miracle. Imagine being out on the open prairie with absolutely zero fruit. How do you give your men a sweet treat? Well, you take apple cider vinegar, mix it with sugar, eggs, butter, and nutmeg, and bake it in a Dutch oven. Miraculously, the chemistry of those ingredients transforms the vinegar, and it comes out tasting exactly like a rich lemon custard. Cowboys would take a bite and demand to know where the cook found fresh lemons. Let's move on and see how this builds. A cook who could whip up an entire trail bakery of legendary morale boosters had absolute power. I mean, if he could fry bear sign, which were basically hot donuts deep fried in rendered lard over an open fire, he could have his pick of any outfit. Cowboys would literally volunteer to work longer shifts just to ride with a cook who made bear sign, or whiskey-splashed peach cobbler, or Saturday morning sourdough flapjacks. But no morale booster was more critical than coffee. This wasn't a luxury, this was pure, unadulterated survival fuel. Arbuckle's was the brand of choice, and it was brewed, brutal, black, and boiled until it was dark enough to cast a shadow. They joked it was strong enough to dissolve a horseshoe nail. And the best part? Every 1-pound bag came with a single peppermint stick inside. The cowboy who volunteered to wake up at 3 a.m. to grind the beans got the peppermint. It was a prize so highly valued it was known to actually start fistfights in camp. Section 6. Fire, hunger, and ingenuity. So the crucial point is, the enduring legacy of this incredibly rugged cooking style isn't about fancy gadgets or modern tools. It's about what humans can create when pushed to their absolute limits. Which leaves me with one final question for you. Looking back at this explainer, at this menu of survival, science, and sheer resourcefulness, which of these historic meals will you dare to try on your next camping trip? The ash cake, a steak straight on the coals, or maybe mixing up a vinegar pie? It's a great reminder that the best cooking relies on fire, hunger, and the sheer will to make something out of nothing.